You said in this op-ed that swing is king. And you also said, quote, that swing voters in battleground states who are upset about immigration, inflation, climate policy, and foreign affairs are likely to put Mr. Trump back in office if they are not blunted. So what is your message to President Biden after writing this and after analyzing the polls and these swing voters?
Well, I think there were two messages, in the op-ed. One is understand the math of swing voting. If an election is 5-5 and one person switches, it's 6-4. It takes two people to turn out to just equalize that and three to win. So the too much emphasis has been put on turnout of base voters and not enough emphasis on the power of swing voters, which means that the campaigns, and particularly the Biden campaign, hadn't really been pitching itself towards the swing voters who are concerned very much about bread and butter issues of inflation, energy, immigration. And I think the second message was specifically to Biden and the campaign, pay attention to this math. This is really the key. And then these New York Times Siena polls came out, and if you read them carefully, they say exactly the same thing that I said. In these polls where Trump is winning, it says, don't worry about some progressives not turning out. Trump's only getting 2% of those. Worry about those moderate centrist voters who are defecting in large numbers because they're unhappy with the direction of the country.
There's been some reporting suggesting that the Biden campaign is not paying enough attention to these polls or is dismissing these polls. How, in your opinion, trustworthy is this polling that just came out?
I think the data is overwhelming and it makes a lot of sense. It suggests that centrist voters are unhappy with basic bread and butter issues around the country, and it suggests that he's been orienting his campaign, too far to the left and been too responsive to elements of the progressive left versus the centrists. And the centrists are really going to decide this. Swing is king. That is the important lesson. And when you look at the Clinton campaign of '96, which I ran, or Obama's campaigns, or even the campaigns of George Bush and compassionate conservatism, the real winning campaigns have really been directed at the center. And that's how you win with a landslide, as opposed to, I think, what you see now. It's some very tough polling for the Biden administration. So I have these two math lessons, one about swing voters and one about advertising. So bring them together, and a lot of political campaigns should be advertising on the news.
If more advertisers advertise against political coverage, we might get more informed news consumers. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Any other lessons for our Forbes audience today from you, Mark?
No, I think they're clear. News has been undervalued and underappreciated, and news consumers should feel good about the information they consume, and advertisers should feel good about reaching them, and political campaigns have to reach out, I think, even more so to those critical swing voters who are going to be among those incredibly powerful news consumers.